Hello, and welcome to Have At Us, Reviews for Your Pleasure. I'm Nietzsche.
And I'm Joshua.
And this is episode 11, Ikari's Nerv. And today we are talking about Neon Genesis Evangelion, the 26 episodes, and the movie End of Evangelion. And there's all the spoilers for that. Even though there's not much to spoil because this show sucks and has nothing relevant at any point and is pretty much just garbage.
Wonderful image you just gave me. I know from that you are a big fan.
Very big fan. That's why I've seen this show twice.
Twice. I think this is, in fact, my second time also. Although I have seen the movie End of Evangelion, I think 4 times now.
4 times?
Yeah.
Oh, it's bad. It's basically just all bad because I'm never engaged and I'm bored by everything in this show.
No positives.
The one positive that I have for this show is that the opening is good. It's not exceptional, but it is good.
It's a very iconic opening. In particular, the song, very well known. I'm pretty sure it's still sung frequently in like karaoke booths and whatnot in Japan. Like it's still really, really popular. Now, I don't know if that's like a song that was popular before this show or if the show made it popular. I have no idea. I just know it's popular, well known, people like it, and it's pretty good.
It's a good opening. I'm not interested enough in it to go look it up like I was for FMA over there. But it's good. That's as good as it gets for this show. It has a good opening. It starts off okay, and then it just starts rolling down the hill, and eventually it reaches the bottom, and then it has to dig further because the bottom of the hill was not good enough to describe in metaphoric value how bad this show is.
All right. My feelings are not that negative, though I do think the show has some pretty heavy flaws. But I also think it has some pretty strong positives also.
But let's hear any positive.
Probably my favorite thing is actually the angels and their design. I think those are very cool.
They honestly feel like children's cartoon nonsense. Like, I feel like they look kind of reminiscent of like a more like adult version of like Powderpuff Girls villains. That is how I feel when I look at these things, because I just associate it there, because it looks pretty similar to me, even though they're not like actually similar in design. It's like the color scheme and just kind of the stupid nature of them.
Well, the thing I like about them is that they're very diverse, and almost none of them really look alike. They look distinct, they act distinctly, they have different characteristics, which I think are all very cool things. And I don't know that they feel that menacing, because the show kind of turns into a Monster of the Week formula for a little while, where it's like, oh, okay, look, there's another angel, how are we going to deal with this one? It's got some problems there. But I always think they look very cool, they offer some cool fights, and I like how they exist in different places. Like you have ones that are in space, or you have ones that are underwater, one that was in a volcano. So I think like there's interesting characteristics about them, and I'm a fan of the angels quite a bit. I think they're very cool, and you see one instantly and you're like, yep, that is a bad thing. Like they feel like they would be a natural disaster just by looking at it, and I think that's really good design. I think they are one of my favorite parts of the show.
I don't understand how that justifies them being like your favorite part of the show. They're diverse because they're apparently supposed to be an evolutionary jump, I guess, even though I don't know why you're applying the term evolution to like massive leaps and jumps, because that just defies the entire definition, which also starts to grate on me. But you don't know that until way, way late anyway. So it doesn't even matter. You could entirely miss that whole thing because it's one line or something.
Yeah, angels and what they are exactly are really late revelations.
Well, and it's not really like, where are they evolving from? Why are they coming from space? What is this? Why are they attacking you? What is the point here?
Oh yeah, no, I agree.
I don't know any of those answers.
I think that is one of the problems. I think it works at the beginning, being like, okay, we don't know everything. Clearly, Gendo over here, he's not one to talk too much about what these things are. I think that's okay at the beginning. I do think it's a little ridiculous how long it really takes to get to any information, really, about a lot of things. think that's actually a pretty big negative. But while I think their design is one of my favorite parts of the show, it's not like it's the only thing I like.
Before we move on to something else, I need to clarify. There is no second angel, right?
I don't know.
You start with the third angel, and Adam is the first angel. So what is the second angel?
Lilith?
But you're not positive, because you're not sure that information is there.
Well, I'm trying to remember, because they go... We know there's, 16 or 17 angels?
There's 18.
18 angels.
We are the 18th as humans, I think, right?
Oh, right, okay. So we have the 17. Now, they list in one of the semi-later episodes, they go through all the angels and number them, and give them their names.
Only from the point of the show starting.
Right.
And they start at 3.
And they start at 3. So 1 and 2...
But we explicitly said Adam is the first angel.
So Adam, I would assume Lilith. I'm not 100% positive.
Is Ray Lilith?
Is Ray Lilith? I don't think so.
Then how in the world... Because Lilith is Ray's weird, sperm form, that's what we're going to call it, because I just think of the near raid in 14.
Yeah.
And how everybody's joking that 2B is the sperm form there.
Yeah.
And it looks worse in 14 than it does here, but that's what we're calling it right now. Because we're just starting real heavy with inappropriateness. Doing good. That is Lilith, though, right? That would be the implication. By the statement of, this is the dark moon thing, and that's supposed to be Lilith's, shell that she came out of, and then they're like, it's up to her if she wants to go back over to that, or whatever, some weird, stupid, cryptic statement. So the implication to me was that form was Lilith, but that would also just mean that Adam, changed into Lilith with Ray's weirdness?
I'm not 100% positive. I think that is a fine theory. I don't know if that's explicitly stated, so it would make sense. But isn't Ray and Karu, however you say his name, the way it spells throws me off every time. They're from Adam, or was it Lilith that they were from? We were from Lilith. No, humans were from Lilith. They were from Adam. So her merging with Adam would be like her going back to where she was originally from, right? So that would make sense.
Is she, though? I don't understand.
Oh, wait, no, she doesn't merge with Lilith, because it's revealed that the thing in the basement is Lilith.
The thing in the basement?
I'm talking about that big white dude, woman, whatever, that's speared onto the cross.
That's Adam, right?
Well, they say in End of Evangelion that, or one of the episodes, that is actually Lilith, not Adam.
So then who's Adam?
Will we see Adam in a suitcase, or was that just a sample? I'm not really sure.
I forgot all about that. I'm not gonna lie.
Yep.
Good old Kaji bringing in the suitcase of weirdness.
Yeah.
Which is apparently what they were attracted to, but they had to be attracted to something else as well, because they were already going over there and attacking Tokyo 3. Yeah, okay. This is a large portion of my problem with this show. It doesn't explain anything well at all. But we'll move back on to your wonderful positive points here. Let's hear another positive point.
Another positive. Let's go.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go with one that's a little bit more obscure in thought. So the show has several scenes that are sexual in nature, but they're not hypersexualized. What I mean by that is that sometimes, like the 14-year-old boys will be like, oh, look at that hot woman kind of thing. But they're 14-year-old boys, kind of expect that kind of thing. Asuka kind of does that with Kaji. But I feel like the sexuality in the show is generally handled in a manner where it's like, this makes sense for a reaction from a 14-year-old, and it doesn't really sit here and focus on breasts all the time. And when you do notice, when they do put breasts into the show, though, it's in a way that makes sense, and I don't think it's handled in a fan servicey way. I actually think it handles a lot of that well. It also talks about things that often aren't mentioned, such as the period with Asuka, or Shinji's implied erection. He also clearly masturbates, which is quite the scene. And so there's certain things that the show does, but I just think it handles it pretty well in a way that I actually think is pretty smartly done.
I agree, it's not TNA shots all the time, but it's also not interesting and pretty stupid. And the idiot trio kids, well, just the two that are not Shinji, whatever their stupid names are, Toji and something else. Kensuke. They are on how great Misako, is that how you actually say her name? I kind of stopped caring after a while.
Misato.
There's no K. Yeah, Misato, they're like all on how hot she is.
Yeah, they are.
Like, she's the coolest woman ever. She wears, like, the pencil skirt that's pretty short all the time.
Yeah.
Like, she's so cool.
She's also probably the most sexualized. Or at least she's the one who displays the most promiscuity.
I mean, she's the only person who gets a real sex scene.
I think it's a positive, though, because I just think in the medium, it's so rarely done in a way that I think is worthwhile or not just obnoxious. And I think this is a good example of how you can do it well.
I don't know that I care one way or the other. I don't know that I would have cared if they had done a bunch of TNA normal shots. At least it would have been funny. At least I could have laughed at it and been like, haha, Japan, you do weird things. But instead I'm like, oh, Japan, sometimes you do weird things. How disappointing you are. How disappointing. Maybe you're not even real Japanese people. Maybe these people got disowned because they sucked so bad and they failed.
Maybe.
Japan just kicked them out.
I don't think that's likely. Neon Genesis is a very popular show, very well known. The rebuild movies have done really well. The last one just came out. That was really popular. I still need to watch that. I have not watched that yet.
Don't waste your time watching bad things.
I mean, the first rebuild movie is pretty much the same. But I remember, too, being pretty different there at the end.
I don't care.
Yeah, I didn't think you would.
I don't ever need to watch any of these ever again.
Well, let's hear one of your major negatives, then.
We've already basically touched on what makes the show not great, which is that I never have anything to learn or gain until way late, and then I'm entirely disinterested. And then you end on just nonsense. Both different variations here, where you could call the ending. They're not the same. I'm just telling you right now, they are two different lines for endings. They don't exist together.
25 and 26 episodes, and then the movie End of Evangelion.
Yeah, they're separate things.
Yeah, I agree.
They're definitely separate. They're called the same episode number for the same reason, because they're just two different endings, and they both suck. So bad. There's nothing good about them. There's no redeemable characters. There's no redeemable qualities. There's no redeemable writing. Your sound team should have never existed. Just kick them off. They also get kicked out of Japan, except for the opening. But I feel like that was handled by some different people. So, I don't know what you got here. I think I've just ran down the entire show. So...
Episodes 25 and 26 proper are very weird. They feel very weird. They don't really make sense in any chronological sense. You have no real explanation of what's happening. You go from episode 24, which is at least a continuation of what's been happening. Though I actually have some pretty major problems with episode 24. But you get to 25 and 26, and it's just like, I don't even know where we're at. What the hell's going on? And then it ends with a very famous scene of them clapping and saying, congratulations. And while I think that's very funny, I do not think it's good.
What are they congratulating him on?
Self-realization.
Did he self-realize? I'm not positive.
I think that's the idea.
What was his real goal there? I don't know. What was the goal of any of this human instrumentality or whatever project? I don't have any real clue on what any purpose of anything was. Nobody does, because it's garbage, never explained.
Well, human instrumentality is more or less explained as the goal to break the barrier between people and then have them join together to create understanding with, your cool orange soda liquid world where everybody's turned into LCL.
Are they, though?
Yeah.
I mean, it looks like they all die, and then they're magically merged into, weird form nonsense. Right, this is my deal. It's still just Shinji and Rei.
Yeah.
And then they don't, deal with that. And I don't know why she's sitting there super awkward and weird looking and hands inside of him. It's a weird deal, okay? Also, while we're on this, we're in a tangent for just a second here.
Lovely.
You want to praise that it's not hypersexualized, but you realize that the last scene in the actual End of Evangelion deal, where the opening thing appears on on Sperm Ray's head.
Oh.
That is a dang vagina.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Without fail, that is a vagina. Anyway, end of tangent. We can go back to your nonsense over here of trying to defend anything.
That is indeed a vagina. It is very weird. I don't really have a problem with that, though. I think they're just trying to, like, depict, like, birth.
Trying to depict birth? Of his sharp sword just stabbing into her vagina?
Oh, yeah, it is going in, huh?
It goes in.
Yeah.
He comes out her eyeball.
Yeah, that's true. Well, it's depicting something else, then. But even then, that's fine.
It's not. Like everything else in the show, it's not fine.
Alright. Anyway, so yeah, episode 25, 26, not stellar. But I think that's pretty intentional. I know, what's his name, Hideaki Anno, the director, creator.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty sure he got death threats over that ending from people. They were so mad.
Now, I'm never supporting of death threats, but I understand how people could just be upset that they just watched this whole load of nonsense with no payoff, ever, at any point. Now, why you stuck with it, I don't know. I really don't know why anybody stuck with this past, episode 2.
But the movie End of Evangelion, I am a fan of that movie.
What is good about that? The vagina on her forehead?
I mean, it's funny imagery, but that's really not what I'm going with, no. I like it because it summons up feelings of hopelessness in a lot of ways. I think it's a good movie for that sense of nothing is going right. The world's kind of screwed. The last scene itself is especially you're on a pretty hellish looking landscape. You got Asuka alive here. I guess that's good for you. Maybe. Your relationship isn't too strong right now, but that's alright. You get the implication that people can come back if they can visualize themselves pretty well. So you'll probably get some people coming back. Who's that gonna be, though? I don't know. Are some of these people just gonna definitely be dead? Yeah, probably. There's a lot of there's a sense of kind of hope at the end, but it's also kind of a sense of shit hit the fan. And, we weren't able to clean it up. We kind of just had to swim in shit for a little while.
Okay. Nothing is good about that ending. It's the same weirdness that we played in the original, proper ending thing, except there's more action, so I guess you should be more engaged? I wasn't. I didn't care. I didn't have any reason to care about any of these people at any point. And then you pull the weird nonsense that we gotta, sit here and do nonsense monologue with really, really, really crap visuals.
But you did get a cat.
Now, that was the best part. When we got the cat, I was, as a real-life cat, that cat was my friend. And that cat was only there to express its disapproval of this show.
Yeah.
That's exactly the purpose of that cat.
I don't like the live or real-world section of the movie. I think that's its worst part. I'm sure there's some hidden deep meaning somebody can, preach to me about. But I think it's stupid. I think it really ruins the flow of everything. I don't like mixing real world into something that's primarily animation. I suppose there are examples of it being done well.
Like what?
Who Framed Roger Rabbit? Is that what it's called?
Yeah, but I've never seen that.
You got stuff like that. You got Space Jam.
Yeah, also not good.
And then you have Mary Poppins.
I'll give you Mary Poppins. I will allow for Mary Poppins because I remember Mary Poppins. Well, I have not seen that in a while. But I remember good things about Mary Poppins.
Yeah.
It was pretty decent. But Space Jam, not good. If you need to hear me express some more hate about some things, Space Jam is good. It's not going to be as good as this, though.
Yeah.
Not many things will get the same level of hatred, I'm sure. Unless you just start pulling bad things out and recommending them in earnest. And then maybe we'll get there.
Yeah. But otherwise, outside of that, well, I guess that goes on for a few minutes. I don't really like that part, but that's fine. The monologue itself is fine. I think it's something he really likes to do. I don't think it's done amazingly well. I think it's a tool that's overused in the show, and I don't even think it's used super frequently until the end, but I think it's a little ridiculous.
It's a tool that was broken before it was put to use. This is the problem, right? You can do monologue, but you have to give the audience something to look at, or the monologue needs to be very, very interesting. And when I'm looking at nonsense, and I start confused beyond belief It doesn't help me. It doesn't make it better. It doesn't make it good. It just makes it annoying. I'm legit, the, ending, I was sitting there just I don't know that I can think of very many other things where I was this bored in my entire life when I think back through it.
That's pretty good.
It achieved a level of boredom that is seldom reached. Because it sucks.
What if that was the whole intention the entire time?
I don't forgive it.
It'd be pretty funny. No, I don't think that was the intention. Yeah, the monologue, it's important, and you find things out in it about Shinji, although most of that's actually pretty much I know his character by now. But he comes to some level of terms with reality. That's good. One of my problems, though, is you see, as a good example, Misato, right? She gets shot, she's over there, looks like she's dead, and then right before, she's certainly gonna die with the explosion that happens. But you see, right before that happens, this astral appearance of Rei, and this happens with several characters, but it doesn't happen with Gendo, which I think is the idea that I think the theory that's most common is that the people that see visited right before their death would have the chance to come back. How she has the power to just be there and be yeah, you're dead, and you haven't actually turned into LCL yet, but I'm going to give you a pass and say you died later. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But I think that's the thought process because Asuka comes back and you don't really see her dead body, but you see the state of EVA Unit 2, and that's pretty destroyed.
The core isn't, though. Most of your shots are of the head of the EVA, and they're not of the actual core.
Well, you see its whole, spine ripped out. And
doesn't mean the core's gone.
That's true. I don't know.
You never see the core destroyed, you never see it whole.
True.
And so I didn't care. I thought you're gonna die anyway. Nobody cares about you. You're an annoying character like everybody else. Good for you. You made the team on Neon Genesis Evangelion. It's not even a lettered, alphabet lettered team.
Yeah.
You're so low on the totem pole that you don't even get your own letter assigned to you.
Yeah.
You can't be the Z team because the Z team is still better than you.
That's sad.
For them it is. She made the wrong team. That's her fault.
Yeah. Anyway, you say you don't think the action, well, I guess you said you don't really care about the action, right?
I don't recall saying anything one way or the other. I just remember saying that at the end, with the end of Evangelion, it has more action than the other two episodes, which is not necessarily bad. It's slightly more interesting to look at, but it's not interesting. It's not animated in a way that I think is really that interesting.
No, I think the same. Well, I think Asuka fighting the rest of the EVA series is a really cool scene. I think that's actually really great. I think it's really cool.
It's not. She's gonna go ballistic and do cool things. Great. I don't care. In the slightest at all. She finally gets her moment to kind of shine. Woo! You also still fail. And you're gonna die. Because everybody's gonna die. But then you magically get to live at the end. And then you're strangled. And then he doesn't actually kill you. And I just don't understand the whole purpose of any of that scene. It makes zero sense. It doesn't have any value. If he had killed her, that'd be something. We could talk about how that could be a positive. But we didn't do that. And then the last line is her just saying, disgusting. And that's fitting, because the show is awful. I'm not going to use the word disgusting, because I don't think that fits describing a show. But it's awful.
That's actually a pretty heavily debated scene, the end.
How is that debated in any fashion?
What she means by being disgusting, what's he disgusted by, why was Shinji strangling her, what was his feelings and why was he feeling them, hitting intention between the two. There's all kinds of things.
He was strangling her because he's still a dumb, stupid kid, and he is angry. And it calls back to, the other scene where he strangles her in the weird monologue thing, but I think that's in the proper 25-26.
No, that's in the movie.
Is it? Oh,
yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and that's why he's strangling her, okay? Because he's still angry about that. The end. I solved that problem. She's disgusted that he didn't actually kill her because he's some weak-willed man. Done. Solved that problem. They're gonna, repopulate the world, and their children are gonna be menaces. Done. Solved that problem. Any other complaints or problems you would like me to solve?
They would have some pretty crazy children.
Yeah, they would.
Yeah.
What would you like to talk about next? What is there any other positives that you want to bring up? We can continue on the negative train. I am the conductor of the negative train, so you're welcome to board the negative train at any point.
Another positive. I actually think I don't really have a good term for it. I guess character design. I actually think it's pretty strong.
As in, you like how they look?
Yeah.
Nope, they're boring. They look like standard 90s anime characters. There's nothing exceptional about them.
I think the color, especially my favorite design is Gendo. Good old Gendo. Good man.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's got a really cool design. One, he's got a strong beard. I'm a fan of that. Two, he's got those white gloves on all the time. I like that. He's got a famous pose with an anime, right? I like that look. His coat, I like the colors on that. There's a lot of things about him I think is really good.
The colors are so dull in this show. And I realize it's purposeful.
Yeah.
But you could have given me at least one color that popped at any point, really, and you didn't. Like, you just didn't do anything. Everything had to be dull-colored and boring.
Yeah, even the colors that are generally kind of bright were toned down.
Yeah, it's boring.
For sure. But Gendo, I think, has a really cool design. I mean, like, Shinji's design is like, okay, you're a 14-year-old boy. Nailed it. I think Asuka has a pretty good design. Rei, I think, has a good design, though I think Rei is a pretty boring character. And then Misato I like as her design. But I mean, at that point, you've basically talked about most people that matter. So, you got Pen Pen, good old penguin.
Pen Pen is a stupid waste of screen time.
I actually agree. It really is like, why is there a penguin? Oh, we're not really going to address this? Okay, just a penguin that hangs out at the house. That's cool, I guess.
It has its own television in there.
I mean, this penguin is living in luxury, alright?
Is he, though?
He's got his own little cupboard, you know? He gets to do whatever he wants. It's a really weird addition to the show. But he exists.
Mm-hmm. I mean, notice he made the same team as everybody else because he sucks.
Yeah.
The same as everybody else.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So you like how they look, even though that's false.
Yeah.
You like anything else? You got any other characters you feel the need to talk about how great they look?
How they look? No, I mean, there's characters I like and characters I don't really care about, for sure.
Alright, we'll bring balance back here, and we'll mention a character you don't like here. Let's hear it.
Well, like I said, I think Rei's a pretty boring character. She's important, clearly, but for a character that's so relevant, she has not a lot of screen time. Like, we never really make a lot of effort to really develop her outside of, like, her plot device reasons. Outside of that, like, we rarely get to, do anything with her. For a long time, she's out of commission. When she's finally back in commission, she doesn't really do too much. I guess she does throw the spear. That's a pretty cool moment. But outside of that, like, she doesn't really accomplish a whole much, I feel like. I don't know if she's, like, the beginning of this weird trend with characters in anime, where she's, this quiet, unknown enigma character, specifically female. But it's not a very good trope. I don't really like it very much. She's boring.
Look, it can be handled just fine. It can be done well. But it's often just kind of there, and it works. Here, it's just boring. There's nothing exciting about her, because there's nothing exciting about anybody or anything in this show. But I'm just like, okay, you're, the doll. You say things, you do things, whatever. You're clearly, expendable and can come back from really early in the show.
Yeah.
Now, I knew that already because it's the second time through, but I was like, yeah, great, you're cool. But somehow, Gendo really likes you and whatever. I'm not really sure what his end game or goal really was.
To be reunited with Yui.
Yeah, but he's not really reunited with her.
Well, he's denied. I think the implication is that Rei's like, fuck you. And then he's chomped in half by Eva Unit 1. Even though Eva is up in the sky, doesn't really make a lot of sense. But then you see Gendo, in half with his spine sticking up and stuff. It's a little obscure. It doesn't really make a whole lot of sense.
Exactly.
But you know what? I'm a big fan of Gendo. He's probably my favorite character, actually.
How is Gendo your favorite character, and you cannot use anything that describes how he's just so, awful?
I like him because he's a smug guy. I like how cool-headed he is. This man could just stare in the face of death and not even blink. He's like, whatever. Right? He's not going to lose that staring contest, right?
Right.
I like how under control he is. But mostly, I just think he's an interesting... Interesting's not the right word. He's a fun character to dislike. Like, this guy's kind of an awful human being. I don't really understand you as a human being before Second Impact. But you've just kind of fallen off a cliff. I enjoy watching him. I think he's always a fun character to have on screen, and I'm always interested in what bad thing he's going to do next. Or how little he cares about Shinji, even though, or maybe he does in some way. My thought would be like, well, in the end we'll all be merged and then understanding will come, so I can just be a dick now. I don't think that's a good reason to be a dick, but that's fine. I think I'm just always attached to his character and what he's gonna do. In particular, when he uses the plug, or dummy plug, to force EVA Unit 1 to keep attacking the fourth. Third. It would be the third.
Now, how that kid lived.
Oh, yeah, I don't know how.
He would also have to be the fourth child.
He is the fourth child.
Yeah, you said fourth, and then you corrected yourself to third.
The unit is the third.
Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah, he's always gonna do the wrong thing, right?
Yeah.
That's why it's not interesting. I know, without a doubt, if there's an option to be a terrible person, you are choosing that option. You are the incarnate of that option. Great. I don't care. I've solved your entire character. Done. Boring.
That's why I said fun instead of interesting. Because I agree, it's not interesting, but I do think it is fun.
It's not fun. I need to be engaged. I need you to give me something that's actually like, oh, maybe you weren't always a jerk, or here's why you're gonna be a jerk. I need some level of motivation to care.
I like how they commit to him also just being kind of a jerk then. Like, he's always been a jerk. Not like, oh, this one single moment made him a jerk. No, he's always just been a bit of a jerk. It's pretty funny.
It's not funny. It's just stupid. He's just a terrible human being. I know terrible human beings. I don't need to watch someone who's just a terrible human being. Unless you're going to have some interesting motivation or something. Like, give me something here. You can give me anything. You just said, we were too lazy. Fill in the blanks for us. No.
Yeah. Also, I'm pretty sure in the manga adaptation that Toji does die in that moment.
He should have died.
Yeah.
There's no way he lives. Oh, look, we crushed the whole thing, and he's dead. But Rei dies when her thing gets crushed.
Well, she, like, self-destructs.
Yeah, but they still find a piece of the ejection plug.
Oh, yeah. She's looking pretty... Well, you don't really see her. You see, like, a hand silhouette. Like, oh, yeah, that probably didn't go too well for her. That's okay. New body, let's go.
Mm-hmm. But so then, that's the third Rei.
Yeah,
so then,
at the end, yeah.
So then she would have lived after, whatever, Rixko or whatever, science girl, what's her name? Research girl. Blonde hair woman.
Yeah.
Who was red-haired at one point. Ritsuke? There you go. We're saying it's Ritsuke. I'm not looking at it.
Risato is what I thought it was in my mind. Whatever
anyway,
it is.
After her mother kills Rei.
That would have been the first one.
That's the first one. So she lives from that point on all the way till she dies in the EVA unit.
Yeah.
And then she's reborn with her memories still, but we don't understand how that works. Oh, great. Glad. I have no idea. But most of her memories are not there, but some of them are there. It's a whole weird deal.
Yeah, we're not really sure.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Rei could have had some interesting philosophical, thoughts on that.
Could have.
But she didn't, because nothing was interesting. But Research Girl going from random, dark red hair to, blonde at some random point.
Mm-hmm.
It's great.
I mean, I'm sure it's just a sign of rebellion, Gotta get
Is
that
it,
blonde
though?
hair.
Is it, though?
Man.
It's strikingly blonde.
How many blonde people, naturally blonde people, live in Japan? Not
and
many.
Red hair is what you're going with
Yep. Red hair's super common. Do you watch
mauve,
anime?
red hair.
They got, green hair over there. And
I mean, there's a good meme that I've seen of, school hair color according to anime, and it's the rainbow color of kids at desks, right?
Yeah.
And then it's in reality, and then they're all just black hair. They all look exactly the same. And I'm because that's real.
Yeah.
That's what makes that meme funny. I just didn't understand why she didn't have, red hair again. Why didn't she have blonde hair in the beginning then?
Well, her mom was red-haired.
Her mother has red hair, and it's curly.
Yeah, and then, you'd get some genetics from your dad, so maybe she didn't have curly hair. And then she's like, you know what, my mom's kind of crap. I don't really want to be associated with her because it's generally pretty uncomfortable, so I'm going to dye my hair blonde.
Yeah, but why didn't I get a scene for that? Why didn't I get to see something?
Do you hate it?
Anything. Yeah, I do. When I have nothing else to go on, I'm going to nitpick everything about this.
Gotcha.
So, yes.
Yeah, I don't think that was really worthy of a scene. I also think that's another character I'm like, I don't know how to feel about you. She's okay sometimes. I appreciate that she's kind of the project over the person mentality pretty frequently. Like, she doesn't really care if these kids die. They're whatever. They're just a science experiment to her. It's kind of the feeling you get a lot from her. And then sometimes you think, maybe you're a little bit more than that. But it's a real back and forth game. And then she's sleeping with a Gendo over there.
Which you don't know till the very end.
Yeah. And I'm like, well, that was probably not the best life choice. But
he also slept with his mother. Or her mother.
He's getting around.
That statement came out really bad. Gendo slept with his own mother. Not what was supposed to be said there. Gendo slept with... whatever. I've already forgotten how I was going to say it.
Yeah.
Blonde science girl.
Yeah.
Slept with her mother.
Yeah.
Nobody cares. So you don't like her.
I'm indifferent about her.
You're indifferent about her. Okay.
Yeah. I like Shinji.
You like Shinji.
Yeah, I do.
What?
He gets a lot of hate.
What in God's name could you enjoy about Shinji in any fashion? This better be the best, most immaculate, well-thought-out answer I have ever heard in my entire life.
Yeah, let me just write you a thesis real fast.
Yeah, get on that. We can pause right here.
Yeah, no, I like him because I think he actually has a lot of relatable qualities within people. And I think the show really commits to his humanity. Whereas, not that like toot the show's horn and be like, wow, it's trying to diverge from common mech tropes or mecha anime or whatever, right? It's not really what I'm getting at. But I think there is a trope within anime sometimes of like a weak-willed main protagonist where he's like kind of wimpy or scared all the time. And generally I think that's not very fun or pleasant to watch. It's kind of annoying. But this is a good way to show it in a way that makes sense, in a way that I think is relatable. And I think it's relatable because it's a realistic, like the coping mechanism he displays, I feel like that makes sense. The way he interacts with people, I think makes sense. And even though he can be kind of wimpy, I think he does show some display of like courage at moments. And I like how the show like grows him a little bit. Like it seems like he's progressing a little bit for a while, but then we hit some pretty hard regression points towards the end, which also makes sense, mostly because most of the cast have some pretty huge problems. And which is another thing I like, is that most people have some problems and aren't all buddy-buddy all the time. I think anime tends to display your group of friends or whatever, your team, as being kind of, buddy-buddy all the time. This show doesn't really do that. It's like, they try to get along, but there's a lot of dissension and unenjoyment among them. And I think Shinji is a good vehicle for events to happen around him and for him to have a vehicle for people to see the show. I really hate how I said all of that. That's okay. We're going to stick with it because I don't want to try again. But I'm a fan of his character, yeah.
Wrong answer. Not well thought out. I expected a thesis. You failed me. He is not great, basically for all the reasons you said, that you think he's fine. He's boring. He's weak-willed. He doesn't really progress, and when he does progress, it's kind of like the adults forced him into a bad situation. Great. Wow, that was exciting. I mean, I'm fine if people don't get along, and I agree that, like, Japanese media in general has, like, we're now on an adventure together. We are the best of friends. Let's save the world. And I don't hate that. Sometimes it gets a little overbearing. Sometimes you're like, I get it. I understand. But I don't.
Yeah.
All at the same time. You cool your jets a little bit. Okay?
Yeah.
But this is the exact opposite. Nobody gets along for any reason at all, at any point.
Well, what I like is that there seems to be some level of effort with some characters to try and get along. Misato, I think, genuinely wants to get along with Shinji and Ashika and the teenagers. Now, does she do it for good or bad reasons? That's pretty debatable. But I think in her heart, she's generally a good person that wanted to help them out.
She wants to help Shinji. She does not care about Asuka. She kind of cared for a little bit, and then she realized that Asuka was after her man, and that was never going to happen, and then she just rubbed salt in that wound, and then she's like, not good enough, let me infect this wound. Oh, now you're in miserable pain, and I'm just going to kind of flaunt it in front of you all the time? Ha ha. Wow. How terrible she is.
I don't think that was really her intention.
She knows what she's doing, though.
I think she does.
She knows the full consequences of what she's doing.
But I still stand by my statement.
Your erroneous statement?
No, I think people can be, more than black or white or success and failure, so...
That people can?
Yeah.
I mean, people can, but she was clearly being a jerk. She knew it. She knows she uses people, and that's fine.
I think she's generally a good person who has some pretty big faults. I don't know that you needed to kiss Shinji at the end. Give him a little goodbye kiss. I think your gap in age is pretty extreme, but that's fine.
How old is she? Do we know?
I have no idea.
You didn't look it up?
I think she's mid-late 20s, and he's 14. So, maybe not great.
Look, anyone will do, is what she said at one point.
Yeah, I mean...
And Shinji rejected her.
Well, he rejects everybody,
Not the human angel kid. That's his name.
Yes. It is Kaworu.
Karu.
Yeah.
His name is Karu.
Yeah.
Karu. He likes Karu. He likes Karu touch him.
True.
And, maybe there could have been more that happened. Maybe Shinji could have become a homosexual.
Well, I think that's a misrepresentation of the intention of that episode, but I think the episode does such a bad job of a lot of things. Maybe that was the intention and I'm completely wrong, but I think it's more that he just displayed an interest in him and, complimented him, and Shinji ain't getting too many compliments, and so he's naturally going to be attached to somebody who would do that, right? Now, where that episode fails is introducing Karu at such a late stage, and he's in and out the same episode. He just kind of comes out of nowhere. Like, okay, we're sending this person. Oh, turns out he's an angel. Oh, now we gotta kill him. All within one episode. His development should have been like 3 episodes.
No.
It's not. It's a really rushed episode that I think does a pretty bad job of conveying what it wants to.
Everything is rushed because it's an angel and you gotta kill it. Right? The end. How he has, cool powers to, operate the unit. I don't know. I don't care. Because I stopped caring very, very early.
Yeah, I get that. I'm still convinced you like the show, though. You haven't convinced me otherwise.
I haven't convinced you otherwise.
Yeah, I think deep in your heart.
You are now not allowed on the negative train anymore. I've kicked you off. Security will escort you out.
Yeah, okay.
You can be over there on the optimism and happy train, as you tout a depressing show is good because it has depressing elements.
Yeah, that's one way to describe my feelings. Asuka, another character I like.
I don't even want to ask anymore.
Yeah.
I don't even want to ask what you like about any of these things anymore.
Yeah.
Let's hear it. Let's hear what's so great about Asuka.
Alright, well, on just a base level, I like her design a lot. But that's clearly not the only reason why I would like her character. I just want to say it. I like her design.
Mm-hmm.
The red suit is also pretty cool.
Did you just say, I just want to say I like her design, and then immediately follow up with...
More design?
More design. I really like the red suit.
Yeah.
Great.
I'm just saying, visually I think it works really well. But I like how C is the complete opposite of Shinji. She's kind of a jerk all the time. She's, she got a pretty strong opinion of herself, kind of. She likes to flaunt that she's pretty awesome. Though it's pretty clear she does have some pretty harmful self-image. That's fine. In its own way, that's kind of a relatable human, trait. But in general, I think I like her because I like her interactions with other characters. I don't know that her character in and of itself is super compelling, but her interactions, particularly with Shinji and Misato, I think are really good and enjoyable scenes. I always think the chemistry, whether good or bad, is pretty strong within those. And I think it's alright to have a character that functions in that way.
I mean, she's clearly antagonistic, and she's got her whole sad backstory. And I had stopped caring by that point. I feel like it could have been a nice, like, twist that, you know, her mother thought that she was a doll. Like, I guess. Okay. I don't really care. It's sad, like everything else in this show. There's no point where I didn't think, wow, this could get better. This is going to be tragic. It's like Grave of the Fireflies. You haven't seen that. But it's just tragic and sad from the get-go. And then I'm going to spoil this. These kids die at the end. And I'm not sad.
Aren't they already dead? Isn't that the twist?
Yeah, but, I mean, they die.
Yeah.
Right. You start at the beginning and you go through and then they're dead.
True.
And I didn't care. Like, it's more interesting. I liked that movie. But I don't think it's, like, amazing. Because it's just depressing and sad from the get-go. Like, and it's never going to change. I never have a sense of hope because I know it's bad. Life sucks. Some kids got screwed over in war-torn awfulness. That happens. That sucks. From the get-go, though, Shinji's over there, like, struggling to make this decision, and, like, Gendo clearly goes over and, like, emotionally manipulates him to get into the Eva. And it's like, okay, yeah, everything sucked from the get-go. It's never getting any better. Great, nothing ever got any better. Woo! You accomplished nothing for 26 episodes and a 2 extra weird episode movie thing. What do you want from me?
To like the show, obviously.
Well, you're already kicked off the train.
Yeah. Well, I was trying to pull you off with me, but...
hostilities will ensue to your train soon. If shots already haven't been fired, they're about to be fired.
Yeah.
Yeah, Asuka doesn't help anything along for that. Like, she's just another piece of the depressing, hopeless puzzle.
True, but I think she's one of the good pieces. Truthfully, I think I've mentioned all the characters that I like. I mean, it's not a very big cast, to be fair, but most of the rest, whatever. You got, Kozo, which is like Gendo's right-hand man guy.
Oh, he's never called by his first name. It's called
Fuyutsuki or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, that guy is, who cares about that guy?
He's there.
Uninteresting.
He serves his purpose.
You finally figure out who the hell he is, and you're like, okay, not that interesting, okay.
I don't feel like I ever really figured out who he was. Like, he was just a guy who was there along for the ride, who lost all his convictions because it's a hopeless show.
Yeah, true. And then you get, like, the other two idiot trio. I don't really care about them that much. I think they work fine as, like, Shinji's friends. It's kind of nice that, you know, he has someone to hang out with his own age. But, you know, one's just a military nerd guy. Kind of likes to go out and LARP a little bit. That's fine. And then the other one, you know, should have suffered a tragic death, but doesn't.
It wouldn't even be tragic because you knew it was going to go bad.
That doesn't make something not tragic, I don't think, but...
It makes the impact on the viewer not tragic, for me, as the viewer here. I could have phrased that differently, but I decided for everybody, it operates exactly the same.
Yeah, I mean, you're the benchmark for all people.
As a righteous man,
yeah,
I am the arbiter of right and wrong and what is good.
Yeah, and other than that, though, you got, like, the 3 technicians that are always there.
Oh, yeah, I only ever remember the woman, because she's, like, you know, fainting or, like, about to throw up or sick to her stomach often.
Yeah.
I don't know why she's still there.
Probably because he has a brain.
You know what, I will praise, here, I'll give you a little praise here. I like that she didn't accept the gun and fire it back. That she was like, I can't do it, I'm not going to kill these people. I respected that.
Okay.
There we go.
Right on.
We went up 1.
Whew.
Well, that's not even like a whole 1.
Yeah, that's like a 1.
That's like a yeah, it's like a 1/10%.
Yeah.
There, yeah.
Okay, well that's pretty good.
So,
you know, she's the hero we needed.
The hero you needed, not the hero you wanted, though.
No, not that one. In general, I think the cast is pretty mixed. I think you got some strong ones, and then you have some bad ones. That's fine. It focuses mostly on the good ones, so they're the most prominent figures. And I like most of the prominent figures.
And you like Kaji? You like him?
As a person, not really. I like his interaction with Shinji. I don't really like his interactions with most others, but I like his interactions with Shinji.
Where he's just forcing him into bad things. Yeah, that's great. What a manipulative, terrible human being he is. I mean, like everybody in the show.
He's kind of a terrible person in reality. I don't really have a problem with him being a terrible person. That's fine. I like when Shinji just says he's kind of an unpleasant person. I think that's pretty funny. But I think he's pretty self-aware that he's not really a good person, right? It's my impression that he would be okay if Shinji just decided to be like, yeah, fuck it. No, I'm running away. I feel like he'd be alright with that. He'd accept that death. I think he would, in his own way, like, be proud that Shinji made, his own decision. Does he really do that? No, but it's fine. I think he's a character who just, the few times he speaks with Shinji, I think he gives a different perspective, and kind of like a mentor almost, but maybe not the best mentor you could find, but the only one you're gonna get. And I kind of like that.
Okay. I feel like that we've talked, at least indirectly, about everybody.
Yeah, pretty much.
So, moral of the story, this cast sucks, just like everything else in this show.
True. That is the moral of the story.
Always.
Yeah, but let me say, I think the show holds itself together pretty well for the first half, outside of the fact that it becomes really Monster of the Weeky, right? Okay, another angel. Okay, we took care of that. Another angel. Okay, we took good care of that. It kind of follows that for a while, and then you get like Asuka who joins the fray. Dynamic is switched up a little bit, but it's still kind of just the same thing. And then we finally start getting to episodes that kind of diverge from that, and that's good. Like you get like the angel that like is attacking the Maggie drives, brains, whatever. And like I think that's a kind of a cool episode just because it's really different. Once you get towards the end, it really kind of wants to like divulge into like, wow, that's this psychological show. And I don't really feel like the show really earns the depths to what it wants to be. I don't know that made any sense.
Well, they never reach any real psychological depth. I agree with that, and I feel like that's what you were trying to go with here. Second point, magi generally is how that would be said.
Yeah. Magi.
It was kind of irrelevant, but I felt the need to correct it.
That's fair.
Third point, there were 26 different people who wrote each of these episodes. It's just randomness. It's nonsense. Nobody knew what was up. They were all just like, here is what happened in the last episode. You do what you want.
Yeah.
Have fun.
Well, I don't think that's accurate.
That's 100% the God's honest truth of what happened.
Wow.
Except not in the slightest is that true.
I think the show really does kind of start falling off towards the end. I think the movie End of Evangelion actually rights a lot of wrongs, and I think does a pretty good job of ending it in a way that I like. But I think the few episodes leading up to it, not handled particularly well. In particular, like, you get Shinji's classmates, right? After we want to kill Toji, but we fail. They kind of just don't reappear after that. Maybe Hikari does.
Hikari was someone that I almost wanted to like. She was almost there.
Yeah.
And then I didn't. I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
I couldn't bring myself to like her.
Yeah. But anyway, like, they kind of just disappear. And then it's like the second to last or last episode or whatever. It's like, oh, they have to leave because things were dangerous. And it's like, yeah, it has been pretty dangerous from episode 1 onward. Whatever. I don't like how they just kind of like just disappear. We don't really try to like have any scenes with that. That's kind of lame. The timeline starts to get a little screwy. Like, Shinji's, merged with this Eva for a month. Like, that's a long time. What the hell was happening during that? Was there any angel attacks during it? No? Okay.
Wasn't he merged inside of an angel? Oh, no. He was merged.
Eva.
He was merged after he killed the angel.
Yeah.
That time. Because he merges in the shadow sphere weirdness.
Yeah. That's a really cool design. It's kind of like Ozma, actually.
Yeah, it's boring. Ozma is colorful, at least. Like, now it's, done in the 90s, and Ozma's not very appealing. In 14, it's better looking.
Yeah, it's pretty good. But I think the timeline, a little screwy. I think characters devolve very rapidly. I think, like, we're going from, like, we're at, like, well, they're never at A, right? They're never doing that well. But we go from, like, C, and we've dropped to F real quick. I don't really know why we couldn't have gotten a couple more episodes to kind of explore some of these characters, but we don't. I just feel like your budget was running out, and you're like, oh, crap. I had plans for like 30 more episodes, but I guess I gotta start wrapping this up.
Okay, their budget was never good at any point. It's
true.
Very clear.
Oh, yeah.
That their budget is garbage. And that is part of what makes the visual of this show so obnoxious, irritating, a pain to my sensory input for vision. because it is silhouettes, it is red, it is, well, here's this one, still for 4 hours. I understand your budget sucks. I get it. But please, why am I suffering for your show that already sucks?
The only time it really bothers me, the elevator scene with Asuka and Rei, that went on a little long. It is what it is. The train scene, I'm actually not terribly bothered by, mainly because it's the first time where we do the whole, we're going to sit here for an hour. It doesn't bother me too much there. And then we got episode 24, where we're going to hold this shot for like 2 minutes. And it's like, okay, you've made your point. 10 seconds. I could accept that. 15 seconds, maybe.
Whew,
no more.
No.
I think that's getting a little long. 10 seconds would have been fine. 2 minutes. Yeah, that's... Oof. Okay, I get it.
The worst offender to me is the sex scene, where we're just looking at, like, the bureau. It was just bad. All around. I was so frustrated. Like, I don't need to see them have sex necessarily, but if we're gonna do this weird scene where they're having sex, at least just give me, like, a still of them lying in bed, or, like, she's sitting on top of him and I can just see the back of her and they're talking. What? I don't care.
Yeah.
You don't have to animate anything about it, but I don't want to see the stupid dresser or bureau or whatever the heck we're gonna call it.
Yeah, you see some cigarettes, some alcohol, the whole works.
And then he drops something over there, and then it's done. But that scene is like 2 minutes long of nonsense and stupidness.
Yeah, at least I had talking for a little while, and then some moaning, but, that's something, I guess.
Yeah, I couldn't take that. The amount of reused shots, the amount of times we just show the same shot with different dialogue or something, and I'm like, I'm losing my stuff right now.
I think the worst moment is when Asuka's being attacked from that angel from space or whatever, and is like attacking her mind, and then you just see Asuka do the same, like, 3 animations 5 times in a row, and it's just like, okay, stop. That was pretty bad.
I mean, the amount of repetitive dialogue with the same visual is also bad.
Yeah, it's not good.
Yeah, which is why I don't understand how you can still like this show. Even after we've discussed at least I feel like most of what you like about this show. It still fails for me.
I like the show a lot more as a visual than I do as, like, a plot. I think the plot of the show does not really hold itself together.
We just spent several minutes talking about how bad the visuals are.
Nah, I like a lot of the visuals. Like, I think it does a lot of bad things with its poor budget, but, like, I'm talking about, again, the design of it all, right? I think works really well, especially on a budget. I think the Evas, right? I think they look pretty cool most of the time. I think their feet and legs look kind of weird sometimes. Like, is this wearing, like, a tennis shoe? It's a little weird. But whatever. But I like a lot of the design and look of the atmosphere. I think a lot of the tricks they employ don't really bother me. There's plenty of moments that I think are just fine visually.
Your problem with the Eva is its choice in footwear? Not like how when it, like, goes berserk, it, like, suddenly has, like, a dinosaur mouth thing.
No, I kind of like that.
You disappoint me.
This won't be the first time. Or the last.
It definitely won't be the last time. It's going to be tomorrow when you disappoint me again, don't worry. This show doesn't do anything right in any department. And I don't know how you can defend that it does any of these things right. Do you have any other things you want to defend? Any other moments you want to hear me rant about?
Moments? The masturbation scene. Let's hear you around on that.
I was so frustrated that he clearly is sexually frustrated like all show.
Yeah.
And there's never a scene where he does anything involving his penis before that. But randomly now at the end, he's now seen her breasts, and he needs to masturbate on her, but not really on her, because it only magically hit his hand. He, like, held his hand out perfectly over here. He clearly uses his left hand to masturbate, by the way, because it's on his right hand. Yeah. Unless he, like, perfectly held it and he slid his hand off right quick and got it on his... I don't know how he did it, okay?
Yeah.
I just didn't care. I was like, okay, wow. If you had, like, came on her and just left, you just, like, walked away in shame, that might be more interesting.
That would have been something, huh?
Just the shock value of it all.
Yeah.
But no, whatever. I didn't care.
I want to know what people's reaction to that scene was when this was first released. Like, were people like, what the hell? Because it's right at the beginning of the movie, right? It's basically opening with this crap.
I don't know why he's so attached to this girl.
Who else is there? you know?
Rey comes and saves him, I guess.
So I think that's an interesting scene, but mostly because it's something that you're just not gonna get in many other places. Like, oh yeah, sure, hentai might have it, right? But like, as far as like a series that's meant to be, I don't know if you'd say this is for the family, but you know, watchable by younger audiences. Certainly a pretty prominent display of semen, at the very least. It's a little weird.
I mean, it's weird, but I don't really care. It was weird, and it should have happened earlier if it was going to happen, right? If he had had this repeated problem where his sexual frustration caused him to, like, have to run away to, like, the bathroom or something, right? If when, like, Rey's breasts are in his face over there, or whatever, he's like, oh, I gotta... Or it wasn't Rey. It was Asuka, yeah. Where she's like leaning down in front of him, helping him with the science problems. That's the scene I'm referencing. When they can't go on their vacation and they're at the swimming pool.
Sure, I mean, there is the scene at Rey's apartment where she's naked.
Right, that's another scene where he could have been doing his thing. Right, that's fine. But it's not. It doesn't happen. I don't know why it needed to happen there. It made zero sense.
Okay.
This is now the second thing that has had a masturbation scene in it that we've talked about.
Oh, Kokias.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was weirder, but it was also so fleeting.
Yeah, it was... I mean, this one is clearly meant to be a lot more clear.
Oh, it's definitely clear. Yeah. I was not confused as to what happened.
Yeah. Is there anything you would like to, rant about?
I've ranted.
Anything you gotta get off your chest?
I've already got it all off my chest.
Yeah.
I mean, I could rant about other things that don't relate to this.
No.
I could rant pretty well. I'm pretty good at ranting.
Oh, I know.
Do you know? I don't feel like I rant that often.
In my mind, you do.
Do I?
No, not at all. Only about things like this.
Yeah, because it's bad. It's so bad. It deserves to be ranted upon. This was made for people to hate. And then there was the highbrow cool people who were like, oh, I like this. So I am superior than the rest of you.
I do think people like to act as if, like, this show is, like, delivering some amazing message. I don't really think that's true.
What message would it be delivering?
I would imagine the character study.
The character study.
Of, like, Shinji and Asuka or whatever. I think most people like to discuss the characters more than the plot. But people clearly like the plot.
They're depressed, hyperbolic versions of real people's emotions. Good on you. I don't really care. Yeah, there's some people who hit points that are that low, and they generally kill themselves. That is sad.
I'm surprised the show doesn't have more suicide in it, actually.
I'm struggling to think of any suicide in this show.
Asuka's mom.
Oh, yeah. That's all I got.
Yeah, it's not terribly frequent.
I don't understand why Shinji doesn't deal with suicide. He doesn't think about it. He doesn't try. He just goes over and he's depressed and he listens to his weird track that's never explained why he's listening to this. But it would seem to imply that that's the song that him and Asuka did their weird routine with.
Does it imply that?
Mm-hmm. Because he's listening to it and it goes to it and it shows the same track that he's been listening to all that time. And then the song is playing, and then that same song is the song that they're dancing to. Would be the implication there.
I guess. I mean, but he has that track from like episode 4, unless you're saying it's all the same.
But yeah, it's still all the same song.
So they danced to the song he was listening to for...
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah.
That was the implication that I took from that.
Yeah, I don't know if I was paying that much attention.
I was, because I was really frustrated by the stupid tape recorder thing.
No, I don't really have a problem with the tape recorder thing. It's just a device.
Why was it there? Oh, it has no purpose? Done. And then we forget it at some point. Yeah, I mean, I could rant about basically anything about this show because I have a large animosity towards this show.
That's good. Gotta have something at the bottom, right?
Do I, though?
Not everything can be on top.
Let's go here for a second.
Yeah.
We both watched School Days.
Yeah.
As you connivingly forced me into that, basically.
Yeah, classic.
That's a jacked up deal. Okay? But School Days is more engaging. It gives me more to care about, and it's just the same. It's just as depressing and awful. But I feel like it goes somewhere that seems pretty realistic for a little bit, and then it slowly pushes the boundary. And by the time you've gone way past the boundary, you're like, okay, I guess. I'm with you still. You're all terrible people. That was the point. I'm moving on.
And then it gets to its ending.
Which is good.
It is good. It's a great ending.
The one thing I don't particularly appreciate is that, she like cuts her open and like saying, and then she's like, "See, you had no child." And I get that's like a effect to like, you know, show how far gone she is, but yeah. So that show is better from that perspective. It's also shorter. It knew what it wanted to do and make it happen.
True.
So
yeah, they had a clear goal in mind when they made that.
Yeah, this had no goal. No goal.
I do sometimes wonder how planned out Neon Genesis is.
It's not ever planned out.
I think there's some level of planning, but I don't think it's planned out very well. I actually do think maybe the show was meant to be longer at some point, or he would like to have had more episodes. And I judge that based on how rushed the last 6 episodes are. But that's not what we got. We got what we got, and it is a masterpiece. Yeah,
it is lower than anything else imaginable.
I don't know how low I can imagine.
Well, your imagination is better than mine, because mine died at the age of 4 in a tragic accident.
Right.
So you imagine the lowest thing you can, and I need comments of what the lowest things are, and I will defend that this show is lower than that next episode when we read some of these comments.
Okay.
So you get on that, because we're in for a good treat about how bad this show is.
And how good your opinions are, I'm sure.
My opinions are factual, and they're always right.
Yeah.
Because I'm a righteous man, and I'm sticking with this. I'm going to hold on to this righteous man term.
Yeah, you're a fan of it.
I like it. Do you have any other things I need to rant about, you want to talk about, you want to defend? Any other terrible things about this show?
What do you think of the name of this show?
I never gave it any thought. It's never said in show, which always means that it's not a good name. Because I need the name of your show, book, media, anything, to appear in game, movie, book, show.
Music? Does the name
title
of
the song has to appear. Oh yeah. Oh yes. Unless it's like some classical piece where there's no lyrics, you can get away calling it whatever nonsense imagery you think you're bringing up.
Okay, I got you.
But other than that, you must put it in there, and it's not in there.
Okay.
Eva is.
Yeah.
New beginning, Evangelion, basically. Or we could just say neon as an element, which would make less sense.
I think new beginning would make sense.
Yeah, I understand that that's what it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
But that's, whatever. I don't care.
Okay.
Bad because it doesn't appear in there. That doesn't inherently make something bad.
I think it's a provocative name.
Provocative.
Yeah.
It's like you just used a buzzword to use a buzzword.
No, I'm thinking back to when I first heard about the show. Or read about it. I don't know how I first stumbled across this. I suppose we should have made it clear that the first time I watched it was 2010-ish. So it's been a minute. But back when I first heard about it, I thought as a name, I don't know what that is. I like the word Genesis. I think that's a cool word, first of all. Neon, I think of neon lights, right? So you got this Genesis of light that, in my head, that's kind of how I read that. And then Evangelion, and I go, what the fuck is that? It makes me think, what the heck is this? I thought, oh, this is going to be flashy. It's going to be something that's bright, new. Nope, that is not what you get. But that's okay. I like the name.
False. Bad name.
Okay.
You got anything else you want to add here?
Not really.
You got any other rants you need to hear?
I feel like I could figure out what you're going to rant about any question I may have.
Do you?
Yeah, it's just going to be negative.
Well, it's always going to be negative.
Yeah, so it's fine.
We discussed the 1.1 good things about this show.
Woo! We did it.
Well, if you enjoyed this, you go ahead and you leave some comments. If you hated this show, I especially need your comments.
Yeah.
I need you to put that down there. Or if I have made it so intriguing for you to watch this show by my hatred, I also need to hear that.
That's fair.
Basically, I need you to feed my ego one way or the other. It's really important to me because my ego is very fragile.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but you do all the things you need to do. You tell your pet if you have a good pen pet. If you don't have a pen, though.
I don't know what you're doing with your life.
Well, you're just going to have to comment if you don't have your pet to tell.
Yeah.
What are you giving this?
I will give this a 6.9.
I am giving this a 3 out of 10.
Have at us.